Hello everybody, welcome back to This Ain't a Broken Glass. My name is Jen Silba, and I just wanted to do a little intro video about why I'm creating this channel and what's going on in my life. So, once again, I'm Jen. I'm just a normal, average person. I am 44 years old, live in Pittsburgh. We had a very big winter storm last weekend, so we had about 14 inches of snow. It's very cold. It's gonna be like 10 below tonight all weekend, so it's been quite a week here in Pittsburgh. The parking chairs are out in the streets parking spots, and so we live outside of Pittsburgh. I'm a certified peer specialist, which in the state of PA means that I've went through a training to become certified. I've been a peer specialist since 2012. So, and then I've been practicing being a peer specialist in different locations. I took a position at UPMC Western Behavioral Hospital. So I was one of the first peer specialists in the ER there. It was kind of like an experimental position to see if it was beneficial. Turns out it was. And a little back note, I have been a patient. That's why I become a peer specialist. I have a diagnosis, a mental health diagnosis, and I've had one since I was a teenager. My issues started around the age of 12, and until around the age of 32, I would say I was sick. I was a patient, I was stuck, dependent on medicines, dependent on hospitals, and unfortunately very suicidal. So I'm starting this channel because I am the author of A Dove in the Shadows, my mental health recovery journey from patient to professional. My book came out 2 years ago for September, for Suicide Awareness Month in September of 2023. I was very proud. This was like my lifelong dream, the number one thing on my bucket list. I've always wanted to be a writer since I was in my 20s. However, I just never thought I could do it. I also wanted to mention the reason why I didn't think I could do it. I've had shock treatments, close to around 200 of them. They're called ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. And like I said, I've had around 200 of them. They went from the ages of 16 to 32. And when I stopped them, that's when I started to live again and be able to retain my memories. I don't have many memories before the age of 32, unfortunately. That part of my life is gone, it's lost, and it was erased, and it was stolen from me. I don't remember a dog I had for around 16 years, and unfortunately I don't remember my father. He passed away when I was 19, and I don't have any memories of him. So that was my main reason on why I just gave myself excuses that I could never write a book about my journey and my past. Because I just never thought I could remember things and write about them because of that. I decided to give myself permission to try. I was able to, people ask me, how long did it take to write a book? Well, I wrote it in about 3 months, but then it wasn't published. So I started writing it in January of 2023. I had it finished by April. And then from there, I hired a publishing company. From April to July, it was in the publishing phase. So the cover design, the editing, the branding, and all that other good stuff, the fun stuff. 2 years later, I'm actually still in debt, about $4,000 for publishing costs. It is not a bestseller. A lot of people don't know about the book. But the people that do know about the book are the people that this book is helping. I work, like I said, in Western Psychiatric Hospital, which is a 200-some bed psychiatric hospital, standalone hospital just for behavioral health and mental health needs. It is in a Pittsburgh, PA, in Oakland, section of Pittsburgh. And I've had, like I said, a couple different positions. So I worked in the emergency room. I had left when I moved and got married. And I worked in outpatient as a peer specialist. Then I came back 2 years ago as a supervisor for peer specialist. And this year, currently in July, I'm creating a new position with the pharmacy department in Western Behavioral Hospital. So I'm the first peer specialist in the pharmacy department, where I talk to people throughout the hospital that are admitted about medication barriers. So like I said, this has always been on my bucket list. This is something I've always wanted to do, and every day of my life I'm just so happy I was able to accomplish that. I'm just living my dream right now that I have this and I can give this to people. In the hospital, I do give away a lot of my books. Like I said, UPMC my employer can't directly support me and buy these because it's a legal issue. I've tried gift shops. They're all through companies that you have to be like an individual, like a business owner. I'm not. So I'm very limited on how this can get out. So the exciting thing about me and in my recovery journey is that I found out in Pittsburgh, about 2018 was my first time doing this. Pittsburgh is a hub, it's becoming a very popular destination for filming, for production companies and filming companies to come here to film things. So I've actually taken advantage of that. I am a person with anxiety. I suffer with anxiety. I don't suffer from it. I suffer with anxiety, and I just thought that was, something to challenge myself. So I know I have to challenge myself and force myself to do things to get out of my comfort zone, right? I don't want to be comfortable, because what do you gain from that? It turns out I really liked becoming a background actor and doing background work. I love just seeing the behind the scenes things, learning the different terminology, finding out who you're going to see that day. It was really exciting that I got to see Seth Rogen the first day I ever did this. I was just so amazed how cool that was. So this year we've had Mayor of Kingstown here. We've had Hershey, and that was a period film that I was a part of in the spring. Come to my surprise, I wasn't supported by her, not supported, but promoted by Hershey. I was expecting in Crafty, I was expecting all Hershey bars and Hershey kisses everywhere. There was nothing like that. So it must have been more like an independent film. So we've had Mayor of Kingstown, Hershey. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that go on, but they just reach out to Facebook for, the general public. We've had the Pit. The Pit has been big here this year. So I worked on all of those. I've also worked on something called Parallax with, I believe her name is Chrissy Teigen. I'm not exactly sure. It's called Parallax or Lazarus. I'm not exactly sure that either, because both were on the pay stub. So I was a stand-in for that. I was, what else was I? Oh, I was a doctor, and I was a nurse for that. So what happened? I've been doing that, as I said, since 2018. I love it. Film has become my passion. So this year in the spring, when I was on Hershey, had some really strange experiences. The past couple of times I've been doing background work, and it's been really, really frustrating. So I'm the kind of person that loves this. I get so excited. I get there, I'm so excited. Well, for Hershey, it turns out they needed a certain size of women to fit in the corsets. So I am not a big woman. I don't think. I'm about average. I'm about 150 pounds, 5'6". Oh, there's Petey. This is Petey. He's my little poodle. He's about 11 and a half years old. So PD's a big supporter in my life. And so, like I was saying, I went to Hershey. I was bigger than the other girls. I was older than the other girls. They didn't have dresses and corsets, even for a 150-pound woman, which is, I don't think, that big. So I wasn't used. They put me in a dress, then they told me it's the wrong period. So there's 2 periods. I'm not exactly sure the dates. One was like 1896, one was like 1902. So by the time they actually found something big enough for me, they were already filming. They already used the other girls. They came back. I mean, to do our hair was at least an hour, sitting in the chair, waiting in line, probably 2 hours total. So it could have been about over an hour in wardrobe, 2 hours, and then by that time, like I said, they were already filming using the other girls. They came back in to do the other time period. Turns out they did my hair wrong for the other time period. They had to take it all out, do it all over again. Like I said, I was like the only one who was not being used, and it was so disappointing. I was so upset. This is like what I was looking forward to. I've never, worn a corset and got my hair done like that. It just felt like you're kind of special, and, like you look like you're from the Titanic or something. So that was such a bummer. And when I was sitting there all alone while everybody else was filming, I was just thinking about my story. I was just thinking about, what if my story could be a film? I've been a background actor for 30 plus times, and I think I have a pretty good story. I think I have an inspiring story. I have a hopeful story. My story is kind of like a rooting for the underdog kind of story. I feel like I'm fighting the world. So I just had a thought. I said, you know what? I'm tired of not being used. I'm tired of getting so excited for nothing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start looking into how I can make my own film. So that's how that started. Like I said, I'm just a normal girl. I'm not world famous. People at work in the hospital know me. I could barely sell books. How is my story gonna get to film when I am who I am and I'm not famous? I didn't write a bestseller book. I barely sell, 1 book a month. If I'm lucky, I have publishing debt. So with all that being said, I don't know. I still thought I'd go ahead and try. I asked my boss at work, KP, I asked him, I said, hey, I remember you said your brother, you went out to California, he gave you a personal tour of Universal Studios. I was like thinking to myself, hey, that must be somebody. Let me ask if he knows anybody that could, help me write this to film. Turns out Eric was exactly what I'm looking for. He is the perfect match for me as a screenwriter. He had an idea of who I was through his brother. He actually surprised me the first time we talked. He asked me about, he knew about my book, but he asked, why I had not dove into faith too much in my book. I touched on it, but I did not want that to be a deterrent for anybody reading it. So I kind of just left that kind of general. He asked me and challenged my thinking to say, what if the film was different? What if the film was written for a faith-based audience? I said that would be great. That has saved my life. My faith has saved my life. And I would not be here without the Lord and the prayers from my family, the people that knew me when I wasn't well and kept fighting for me, to realize that I'm worth living and loving. So me and Eric have been working on this since July. We have a contract, And we are about, I'm excited to say, we have about 100 pages written. So our relationship is great. He, just recently say, hey, we're gonna have a Thanksgiving dinner scene. So I was able to write some dialogue, some details. My husband loves Turner's tea, so he brings the tea to dinner. We talk about my brother's upholstery shop. So Eric is the expert. He knows how to write this. I could help give him details to put in there. However, he is on 100% writing it. And I am filling in the gaps and making it personal. So I love helping out. I love that he respects listening to me, my ideas, and just trying to make it more personal, and lets me work on that part for him. So that's how this is coming along. This just means the world to me. This gives me so much hope. Every day if I'm not have nothing to do, it's the winter time. I'll look at my laptop and just work a little bit more, maybe add some more personal things. This gives me something to look forward to. Do I ever think it's gonna be on screen? I'm not sure. It's not that I'm not hopeful and optimistic about it. I'm realistic. Like I said, with the different factors of who I am, I do mean a lot to the consumers that I serve in the hospital. Just last week, I was, making my rounds, and some people were just overhearing me in the hallway, and the one lady was like, "What's your title?" And I was like, "I'm a certified peer specialist." And she was like, "I'm going to be you in a year." So like, total stranger. She had no idea who I was. But the fact that you can have a purpose derived directly from your pain and the worst part of your life, that gives people hope. The peer specialist and me, being in that hospital, we're examples of hope. We're examples of recovery. Just by being there, just by showing up to work that day. You never know who you're going to help. You never know. And I don't think I'm a holy person. I feel like I am a child of God. I'm a faithful person. I live my faith through the music I listen to. My favorite bands are Thousand Foot Crutch, Skillet, so Switchfoot. So I'm like a 90s kind of alternative rock girl. So I live my faith through my music. I get more out of listening to my music than I do going to church. It speaks to me more, and it lights this fire in my soul that I can, light the world on fire with, and through my job and through my life. Eric came up with the name of the film to be Saint of Broken Glass. So why is that? And that was come up pretty early on. So I love sea glass. I love sea glass. We have a camper up at Lake Erie, and we go up there, and I didn't know about sea glass. Sea glass is broken glass that somehow gets into the water, tumbles, goes on a journey, and comes out really beautiful, like gems in the water, and people collect it. So I've become big in sea glass and beach glass, and I decided to try to make rosaries. I'm Catholic, identify as Catholic. I go to a Methodist church for my bell choir. I design these rosaries and I make them and sell them on Etsy. And then I share, this is how I share my faith with my mental health journey. So I've made about 63 of these. I take them when I go public speaking. I talk about them. These pieces of glass, this was me. This is people, that I see and that I tell they could be beautiful again. That's my message through the sea glass and through my mission for this movie, is to give people hope and to let people know that what they're going through can be exactly the purpose of their future. I would have never been working in this field, I don't believe, if I didn't have the experiences I went through. I wouldn't have the compassion that I have from the experiences, the very challenging, hard experiences I went through. If I didn't have those struggles, if I didn't have those challenges, and if I gave up. I tell people not to give up, and I tell people I'm glad that they didn't give up. I told somebody yesterday, I actually knew her from years before, but I saw her as a patient in the hospital. I told her, I'm glad to see you, but I'm not glad to see you, and she understood what I meant. I said, I'm glad that she's alive, but I'm not glad that she tried to hurt herself and end her life. We made a pinky swear promise that we're going to see each other in May for the Day of Self-Discovery. That's where I saw her last year when she was doing well. So I hope that pinky swear gave her a reason for her to get well, so we can look forward to seeing each other in May, like we did last year at the conference. So I don't know, what does this all mean for me? This means hope. This means the world to me, that to think that maybe someday I could share my message of hope to others, that they can get better, and there's a reason, why they're going through what they're going through. And I don't know, what am I expecting through all this? Like I said, not much. It's something to do right now. It means the world to me. I just don't let myself get that excited. Eric says that we don't really have anything to, work with or get out until it's all done. So that will be probably at least until the summer. It's currently January 2026. So hopefully later this year, the summer, we'll have more to be excited about. Like I said, I just wanted to create this channel to open this up for conversations about mental health. Please let me know in the comments what you'd like to talk about, what you'd like to know, about my job, what you'd like to know about shock treatments, what you would like to know about why I decided to live versus die. What are we putting in the movie versus what's in the book? So it's just basically open it up for conversations. I will definitely be showing you guys Lake Erie once the spring comes and we get up there. So I just wanted to say hi. My name is Jen. I have a book. I'm an author of a book, and I am trying to get my book to film. So thank you for listening. Thank you for everything there is to come in the future. If you please would like and subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate that. I just want to help get the message out that people are so beautiful and they are worth so much more than their pain. And I get emotional saying that, but I really hope to connect and bridge the gap of, better mental health treatment, more peer specialists everywhere, for everybody in every hospital in every state. So please stay tuned. I will try to put a video out every week. I honestly don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to YouTube or anything, so I'm a beginner. So we'll see how I can learn and grow, and I hope you stay with me. All right, take care. Thanks.